tutorial on how to make GUI applications with Python. Now, if you're just watching these tutorials and this is the first you've ever experienced Python, I would highly recommend watching my Python 3 tutorials. And what they do is pretty much teach experience with Python, or you already watched my other tutorials, then welcome. This is where you want to be if you want to make awesome applications. Of course, GUI means graphical user interface. So instead of just running programs that display in the command line, we can make cool programs with drop down menus, buttons, different layouts. So it definitely is going to be a big improvement to our software. So that's the little spiel, and what we're going to be doing is there's already a built-in library right in Python whenever you just download the core Python language. It's called tkinter. I'll spell it for you. tkinter, and some people actually put that lowercase, and I actually call it kinter just because before I ever watched a tutorial online or heard anyone pronounce it, I was just reading a bunch of books about it, and in my head I always just said, oh, kinter, because I don't know why would I never read anything with a T that wasn't silent at the beginning, although not a lot of words have TK at the beginning. So I'm gonna call it kinter. I know it's pronounced tkinter, but whatever. I'm gonna shut up now and we're gonna start learning. So like I said, it's already part of the core Python language, so we don't need to actually go out and install anything new. We can just import it whenever we want to use it. So from kinter, let's just go ahead and import everything first. So this gives us everything in the kinter class, and we are now able to use anything that we want. So the first thing that I want to show you guys how to do is how to make a very basic window, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to eventually be adding a bunch of buttons, drop down menus, sliders. All of those things are called widgets. Now, we just can't add them on the screen, or else your computer is going to be like, okay, where do you want me to throw it? Right here, just throw a bunch of buttons around on your screen. We actually need to build a basic window first so we can have something to put those widgets in. Now, a basic window is just, of course, a blank window with a close sign, minimize, and maximize. So how do we do that? Well, we store it in a variable, and I'm just going to call mine root. So our root object is going to be equal to tk, just like that. Now, of course, this is a kinter class that we just imported, and as soon as we create an object from that class, what it does is it basically creates a blank window. That's a constructor in this class. So to make things really clear, what we're doing right now is we're basically creating a blank window, and that's what root is going to be equal to. So anytime you see root, just think blank window in your head. Alright, so we can look at this right now, but it's going to be pretty boring just looking at a blank window. So let's go ahead and put some text in it, because, I don't know, it seems like the logical thing to do. So whenever you just want to create basic text using kinter, it's actually called a label. So I'm going to call my variable the label, because I don't know, it just makes sense to me. And what you do is you set this equal to a label object, and this is pretty much saying, okay, kinter, I want to create some text on my screen, so I'm using a label. Well, of course, it takes a couple parameters. The first one is saying, alright, where do you want me to put this label? Well, since we only have one place where you can put it, the blank window, I'm going to type root for the first parameter. That's the first thing it needs. The second one, of course, is, alright, you want text on the screen? Well, tell me what you want to write. So this parameter is called text, and you set it equal to whatever you want. I'll just put this is too easy, because really, right now, this GUI application is really easy, not that hard to understand. So now we have a blank window, and we have a label or text that just says this is too easy. And there are two more things that we need to do. First, we need to say, okay, where exactly do you want me to put it in this root? Do you want to put it in top left, bottom right, hanging out in the middle right here? Well, in a couple tutorials, I'm going to talk to you guys about the specifics of a layout and how to place things, exactly precisely where you want them. But for right now, I'll pretty much do it the really easy, lazy way. So take whatever object you want to place. We just have that text, the label, and just write pack after this. Now there are different ways that you can place your widgets in your layout, and pack just means just pack it in there. Wherever it is, just pack it in the first place you can fit it. That's that's like a really easy explanation, but that's basically just what it does. It just packs it in there somewhere. So right now we have a label in a blank window. The only other thing that we need to do is take root, which is your main Kinter object, that main window that holds all your widgets, and put main loop. Now, if you guys ever, well, you're going to understand this concept a lot, so I might as well explain it now. Whenever you have a GUI application, what you need to do is you need to have that window continuously on your screen until you decide to close it out. Now, if we were just running a command line program and you're printing out a line, your computer is really fast. So it's going to print it out in like, I don't know, like a thousandth of a second. So if we just ran these lines of code right here, then what it's going to do is it's going to pop up your window and then it's going to close it because computers are fast. What main loop does is it says, okay, I'm going to put this in a loop or an infinite loop that never ends. So it's going to keep running, 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 and therefore your window is going to continuously display until you close or press this close button right here. And what that's going to do is it's going to break your loop, in other words, close the window. So again, what this line of code does is it makes sure that your window constantly displays and doesn't just flash real quick on the screen and then close out. So hopefully, if I ran everything correctly, check this out. Alright, so have to grab that. Alright, it's actually kind of difficult to grab. Had to get it in just the right spot. And it closed. There we go. So what we did in this line number 3 is we just created a blank window. And a blank window pretty much just has this little feather, which is the Kinter symbol, minimize, maximize, and close. Line number 4, we created a label. And our label says this is too easy. Now we created that label, but if we didn't have line number 5, it wouldn't display on the screen because once you create a widget, you actually need to say, put it in the window and actually display it. And that's what line number 5 does. Packs it in, positions it, and makes sure it displays in your root window. And of course, line number 6, that's the reason that this is, we can actually see this because it's constantly looping. In other words, constantly displaying to the user. And of course, since this is in a constant loop, we need to break it eventually. And whenever you hit this close button, it breaks the loop. And as you can see, this just popped up, process finished, our program ended. So that is the very basics of how we create a very simple program in Kinter, or TK Inter, as some people say it.